is the Hustler Mindset Project? That's a question I thought about long and hard. One of the biggest barriers to success is mindset. And one of the biggest barriers to the proper mindset are avoidance of many of the narratives of American culture, which are often at conflict. Let me give you a few. If you work hard enough, it'll work out. That's not true. You have to work hard. You must have a strategy. If you do what you love, the money will come. Depends. If you love power, solar energy, stock market, and an established area that makes money, that could be very true. But if you love hanging out on the beach in Timbuktu, that may not be so profitable. Doing what you've determined is worth your effort is usually where the money is. Mark Cuban said, follow your determination, not your passion, which essentially is whatever you will get up and frequently do is going to be your path to making the income, not what you love. There are many people that love certain things, but they don't have enough importance in their life for them to take action. What we're going to do here is regurgitate some of the things that are holding you back, such as social sanctions. We live in a very politically correct culture. You can't say one of the reasons that you are where you are in your life is because you made some very bad decisions. It's usually someone else's fault. That's a problem. One of the biggest rules, and the first rule of being a true hustler with the proper mindset is whatever happens, it's your fault. If you take that mindset, you can fix it. If it's someone else's fault, if it's because you're black, you're white, you're a woman, you didn't go to school, you're a you pretty much put yourself in the position of a victim and shut the door and threw away the key. As long as you take ownership, you can take action. We're going to go through some cognitive exercises, puzzles, games, design. There's a lot of stuff that I do that I don't really talk about on YouTube because I didn't really connect the dots and put all the pieces together. There's so many things that we can do here and have fun. This is going to be the format. Every week, Monday, there will be a new video. And then some point later in the week, there will be a webinar. Essentially, we're going to have a lesson. I'm going to expose you to some stuff, and then we're going to talk about it. And at another point, going on later as the community grows, we're going to have collaborative efforts to help each other solve problems. That's the reason that this is a paid site, because if it was free, and I'm going to give you some background on that, typically they're not that effective because, one, the people who are true innovators, the true hustlers, the ones who are making it happen, they tend not to share a lot of information or are only going to share just a little bit. This is something I've seen online for pretty much a decade. I saw it with eBay with the Power Seller board. There was really not a lot of real information. There was pretty much more whining than anything. And I thought about that. Why is that? And I look online and I look at the storage auction boards. And essentially, people who have kind of figured some things out, they're just not going to share with people who are not working as hard as they are. That's the facts. By having a site where people actually have to pony up some money, and this is not a lot of money. I didn't go as crazy as I could have. But, and also this is an introductory offer. Everyone that comes in now, this is going to be definitely the thing you want to do. But any way that you slice it, people who are engaged, people that really want to facilitate change, have a totally different behavior matrix than folks who don't. And one of them is they have faith in themselves. Because I don't really want anyone here, and this is going to sound very anti-consumer, but so be it, that is just kind of curious. I want someone in this group, in this community, that is very, very serious about improving their life, improving their business. Some of the things that I do actually help me out tremendously with dating. I know it sounds crazy, but it's hard to quantify. In terms of making money, the opportunities are endless. Understand that. They are endless. This is one of the best times to be alive in history. But many people don't see it that way because of indoctrination of cultural norms. Can't get past that stuff. It is weighing them down. I've seen people who were on the verge of filing bankruptcy go ahead and acquire more debt to get a graduate degree that is not paying off today. Because I call it functional illiteracy. Functional illiteracy and functional ignorance. You look at what people tell you and you really ignore what your heart says. It took a lot of courage for me to start this YouTube channel. I will share some things with you. One of my friends said I was a fucking idiot. Only kids do YouTube. This was a good friend. He is recanted on that. Also was told that I was stupid for throwing away the storage auction business to write books. Once again, both of these people, they're my friends. I don't throw friends away because we have conflict. And I'm glad I didn't. Both of these people are now in pretty much dire straits because they were following conventional thinking. Conventional thinking is not going to get you out of the current economic crisis you may be in. You're going to have to think a little differently. And that's where the hustler mindset comes in. We're going to look at projects and things in a manner that you've not looked at them before. I'm going to give to you my methodology on how I make decisions, because I don't make decisions like most people. Give you an example. I'm in a writing group, and I notice that frequently I am at odds with the rest of the group on everything, and I have to step back and, these are very bright people. I can't go ahead and say, oh, they're stupid, but when you're talking to someone who's been indoctrinated with a certain mindset, regardless if you're giving them great information, it bounces off their head and goes to the left, because that's the power of a narrative. Even if it doesn't make sense, people will hitch their beliefs, their dreams, and their financial livelihood on that narrative. That's how powerful it is. And I had to learn how to step back and really deal with people where they are, or essentially keep my mouth shut. Because in the world of publishing, I'm somewhat of an anomaly. I'm a person who makes a full-time living from writing. That's rare. I didn't think it was rare because I was doing it and I wasn't really paying attention to anyone else. But until I started joining writing groups and talking to other people, I saw the light. What got me here was looking at the marketplace. I'll share something else with you. It's my heart's desire to write a great fiction novel. However, being a business person first, I realized that that was exceptionally risky. I am going to do it, no doubt about it. I'm actually going to be able to do it better now because of the learning of writing and publishing and things that have happened over the last 3 years. But I know that I need to write something that I know will help you. By doing that, I'm going to make way more money than writing something that I just want to write because it's in my mind and it's my heart. So essentially, I am doing the things that need to be done first so I can do what I want to do later. And in the meantime, I still get to write, I still get to express myself, and I still get to have a tremendous amount of fun. That's how you got to look at this thing. It's not about what you want right now. It's about what you can do, what you can offer, and how you can build. That's the hustler mindset. Some of the things that I want to tell you may shock you. Some of the things I tell you may make you giggle. Some of them may think you think I'm the most obscene man on the planet. But I'm going to give you the methodology, the thought process, and a formula based on video. And that's how it's going to be. And since you're subscribing, you'll have access to these videos as often as you would like, anytime you want. And they play on any device. So you can just log in on your phone, your tablet, whatever, and you can still access the information. That's the reason I did this platform, because it just makes sense and it's easier for you. And it's easier for me to give you great stuff. And as this goes, it's just going to ramp up. It's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be part of this. And that's why I'm like really excited. You just don't know, because this is going to free me up from so many things to do more things for you, which is really, really cool. But got a little story to tell you, and it'll give you some insights on some of the things that I discovered going forward in life. This is going to be really, really embarrassing. When I was a kid, I grew up in a strange part of town. We were on the edge, far from City Hall, but kind of close to a business district. Immediately across the street from my house was a place owned by a guy by the name of Mr. Youngblood. Mr. Youngblood, I did not know, was a developer. Didn't know this. He was actually quite well off, but I didn't know this. I saw this through the minds of a kid. I saw it through the eyes of a kid. I was just little, and he had all this stuff, and I didn't really know how deep that was. And I would go down there. Now this is the tripped out part. His wife, Mrs. Youngblood, they would have like flea markets and garage sale because he had built these bays to store his construction and earth moving equipment. And he had this probably 4 or 5 acres where there was all this stuff like tractors and dump trucks and things like that. And I would go up there and play, and a lot of us would go play because it was a great place for a fort. You're sitting up in the tractor, you're like shooting people. But I didn't understand that through osmosis, I was getting a lot of business lessons from people who were very prominent in the neighborhood and very nice to me, very nice to me. And I would go down there and I would talk to his wife, and she loved garage sales. And she said, I just love garage sales. I love garage sales. You get stuff and you get rid of stuff and you meet some neat people. I mean, it's just really ironic that my best business would be based on garage sales and reselling stuff. That's why it's like, it's really tripped out when I think about it, because that seed was planted a long time ago before I even knew what the storage auction was. It was planted a long, long time ago, because those were some of the fondest memories of my life. But that's just part of the juice, because I would go down there and I would watch how they conducted business, and I would just sit there. They just let me hang out. I would just be there all day. Mr. Youngblood would go get lunch, and he's like, "Hey, you want anything?" And they bring me food, and I would just be there, sitting there all day, absorbing all of these business lessons as a kid. And that's the weird part about this, because when I say that it was a trip, when I really thought about it, I was just like, whoa. It was just like, duh. But it gets deeper than that, because I didn't know the power of I Can until the helicopter ride. Because essentially, by hanging around Mr. Youngblood, Mr. Youngblood was I'm going to do this type guy. He eventually wanted, and he owned a lot of land. I didn't realize how much land he owned until I was an adult, and I was like, wow, he owned a lot of land, because he owned that section. Then it wrapped around, and there was Miss Jones' house, and there was another area that he had a trailer park on. He sold trailers. He had about 20 to 30 of them on there at any given time. So he was selling manufactured homes. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Developer selling manufactured homes. This guy was pretty well off, and he was pretty busy savvy. And I got to hang out with him and his wife frequently. But I just showed up. Sometimes to be successful, you just have to show up. It's that simple sometimes. And many people don't show up. They're looking for an invitation when you don't need one. Now, the power of I Can. There was another developer, Simmons Machinery, Mr. Simmons. There was this huge metal building with these large bays. If you've ever seen the PBS specials with the huge earth movers that are maybe 2 stories tall, he had those. That's what he had. Not one. He had several. There was like a row of them, because you would go down Highway 78, and it was like 1, 2, 3, anywhere from 3 to 6 at one time. And these things were huge. I didn't realize that when I went by and I didn't see any, they were out making money. And these type of earth movers were for major projects. Major projects. And another thing that he had was not 1, but 2 helicopters. And to give you a little background about why I would be walking by there, for a long period of time, we didn't have a car. And if you had to go to the grocery store, I had to walk to the grocery store. And it was about a mile, mile and a half. And I would take, I had two ways. So I could go straight up 78 and hit the back way, or I can go through the neighborhood and go up Main Street. Sometimes I would just walk that way, but see, there was no sidewalks, and you were literally walking on the side of the road. And it was a very busy highway. But I was a kid. Kids do what kids do. And one day I was just over there. I was looking, and the pilot, he had put the helicopter on this thing, and he is pulling it out of one of the bays, and I saw another one. And I'm just walking in there and looking, and he's like, hey, people were really nice to me as a kid. When I look back, I was like, people were very, very nice to me. And I was just like, wow, and he started breaking down, what a helicopter is, and there was parts of the helicopter in there, and he was like, yeah, you can only use this for so long, and this is like $5,000. Understand, this is in the 70s, late 70s. This is $5,000 for one helicopter part that you can only use so long. That stuck in my mind. Once again, I didn't realize how well off this guy was until this other guy, Mr. Simmons, until I was an adult. I never met him. I just used to hang out at the property. And they'll go by and talk to him. And then one day, I'm with the pilot, and we're just talking about stuff. And he's like, you want to go up? I was like, yeah, I want to go up. And I was maybe 12, 13. My mother does not know to this day. That's why I laugh when parents like, oh, I know my kids. My mom, unless she sees this video, she'll never know. She'll still freak out. But we went up in a helicopter. 13 years old, little black kid in Alabama. And I look at my city from a new perspective. I knew at that juncture I was going to leave because we went in the helicopter and we went up and we went all around Adamsville. And I realized how small it was. It was really, really tiny. Before that helicopter ride, I thought that, it was the boringest but the biggest place on earth. I didn't really know any better. And that's the deal of perspective. But showing up and showing an interest, I got to do a wonderful thing as a kid. I got to do something that many people have never done. Because a helicopter ride is fun. I got to do it in the military, but as we were up, and I was just, my face was pressed against the glass and everything, I was just like, wow, I want more. I want more. So part of being successful is making some decisions, whether they're passive decisions or active decisions. You have to show up. You have to know what you want, and you have to give yourself permission to ask for it. That's just the foundation. That's just the foundation. And I'll look at another thing that happened when I was a kid that I used to really hate. If you remember, my mother didn't have a car for a long time. But I would watch my mother go down the Highway 78, go down the hill, cross over the Youngbloods property, and flag down the Greyhound. For years, we would flag down Greyhounds, and the Greyhound would stop, and that's how we got to downtown Birmingham. Got to a point I'd do it on my own. And I didn't really realize, because a lot of parents who are watching this would be like freaking out, because I was maybe 14, 15 doing this. They would be freaking out because I couldn't let my kid do that. That taught me something. Something that many people would look on today as a serious burden. It was just a way of life. It was just something that we had to do to get from point A to point B. Actually, it was kind of fun because you never knew who was going to be on the bus. But I bring that up to you because sometimes the path to get what you want, you got to ride a Greyhound. You may have to stand on the side of the road. You may have to go through some mud. But that's part of the hustler mindset. It's about I am at point A and I want to get to point B. It's not that I'm at point A and I want to get to point B in a gold carriage pulled by horses with soft silk hair. That is one of the things that trips up many people. To be successful, you're going to have a single-minded purpose and devote an amount of effort and time that many people would think is insane. The average person would. Because whenever you talk to another business person or another person that's gone through the process, they don't look at you like you're crazy. And it's like, yeah, I was doing this and I was doing. And then before you know it, you're friends because you're kindred spirits. because there's a reason that a handful of the people in this country run the majority. And it's not because of they're evil. No, it's not that. It's not because they're power hungry. It's because a small handful of people actually make an active decision to shape their lives. And part of shaping their lives shapes yours. So you can either be a producer or a consumer. The producers are going to run the world. They always have and always will. I don't care how many revolutions come by the 99%. Because the fact of the matter is, we live in a world that is rich in opportunity. And if you're not pegging your place in the world, if you're not carving out your niche, it's not because it's not available, it's because you're not looking to do so. It's that simple. As we go forward with the hustler mindset, there will be things I'm going to bring to you that, if you're like a naturally curious person, you may have come across. If not, they may blow your mind, because I've kind of gone back and figured out some of the stuff that made me successful. And it was kind of creepy, eerie what it was, because you would think it's a high intellect. I am smarter than the average bear. I'm not going to go ahead and say I'm some dummy, but I'm not the smartest person I know. I'm not the smartest person I ever met, and that's not what gets me over. Growing up in Alabama, it was an expectation that kids work. I had to do chores at home. If I wanted to earn extra money, I cut lawns. I usually worked my ass off during the summer. During the day, during the evenings, I would lay around. I'm not going to lie. But at an early age, I became accustomed to hard work. It's not a foreign concept to me. For many people, it is. So to be really, really, really successful, a strong work ethic is more important than talent. Talent can actually be overrated. Talent can seduce you into being lazy. But a work ethic, you're better off being of average intelligence and having a voracious work ethic than being a genius and lazy as hell. I see it frequently, because there are people who are more talented than I am, have way more natural, innate writing skills, because I'm dyslexic. And I have a mild speech impediment. It used to be real serious. I spent 6 years in special ed. There are people who didn't have those challenges who don't write as well as I do, because they don't put the effort into it. They don't put the time into it. I tell people I'm a writer because I write every day. Most days. At least 5 days a week. I'm a writer because I write, not because I say I am. It's because it's what I do. And for you to be successful, whatever it is you want to do, you must do it. Not wait for it, not wait for the perfect time. You must start today. I don't care what it is. There's something you can do to move you forward in the direction of your dream and your goal. It may be as simple as sitting down and writing up your goals today to create the energy. It's something. But being passive and waiting for, quote unquote, the right time will pass you by. You'll be an old person and your mouth will be full of regrets. I don't want that for you. I want you to be successful, and that's why I've designed this course. And like I said, this is going to be totally different than anything I've ever done before. And it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a good time, and you will come out much better for it than you came in.